What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Voice of College Football's Oregon Live weekly show right here on the Oregon channel. As usual, it is just me, Ben of Exploring Ben and Sam, right here on YouTube, and we've got the normal guy, which I'm dyslexic tonight, Spaz over here. I don't know why I can't get that right either.
I
Spaz,
know.
how you doing tonight?
I'm great, man. Fantastic. It's been a great week, and thought I was going off the ledge last week, but all is good, and we're alive and kicking and getting stronger every day.
And hopefully everyone in the chat is doing well. And we have a lot to talk about tonight, as was planned, but we have to immediately go ahead and give a special welcome to our guest tonight who took the time to join us to discuss some Oregon football. Welcome in to the Rushing family of Elijah Rushing. Amazing stuff.
Hi.
How are you both doing tonight?
Doing well.
We're doing great.
Welcome. Good to have you guys here, man. We're excited. I was really excited to have a conversation with you the other day on Twitter and invite you guys into our show today. It just worked out even better.
Definitely.
So how do you guys feeling going into this season? You know, obviously there was a lot with Elijah going on, you know, between Arizona, then to Oregon, and now you've seen the Arizona changes. You think that it was the right decision? Did you guys play a big role in that decision making, or did you guys kind of just leave it up to him?
You know, we let Elijah make his decisions. We simply provide him with the facts. Here are the facts of what's going on right now. What is it that you understand about your situation? And then, you know, he makes his decision based upon having all the information.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's the best way to do. You know, it's ultimately it's their decision where they're going to be going for 3, 4, maybe who knows, 5 years, depending on how things go or whatever, and it's their playing field. So, Spaz, I know you have a lot of questions and comments, and
Yeah, I was just my did you guys how did you guys come about Oregon and whatnot, and how did that all play out for you guys as far as giving them the ideas of where to go or whatnot?
Well, Oregon was a choice that he had after meeting with Tosh and Coach Lanning and Cam. How do you say Cam's last name?
Araki.
Aragi. Coach Washington. You know, just the whole group over there. They've always treated him so warmly, and he always felt like he was, you know, part of the family. You know, the U of A selection came about because that was, you know, our hometown team he grew up rooting for, and then his brother was there. And so, you know, we were leaning Oregon initially, but the deciding factor, you know, to try out the U of A was, you know, his brother being there and it being the hometown team. And so, you know, we definitely wanted to give it a strong look. And so we did that. And they did some great things last year. They had an amazing season. Just the direction that they were going and the vision for what they wanted to do didn't match up with some of the ideas that we had as far as his overall development. And so, you know, we all sat down as a family and talked about, you know, what next. And he decided to decommit right after his teammate had decommitted. Keona had decommitted. And we began to entertain colleges again. And Oregon was Johnny on the spot. They never stopped recruiting. the entire time. And so for him, it was a no-brainer.
Is there any insight into exactly what the ideals? I mean, just out of curiosity, obviously you don't have to go into specifics or any personal interactions with anyone. Is there any specific ideals of where U of A say wasn't going compared to maybe where Oregon was, or is there just philosophy? Was it the coaching staff, like kind of thing?
No, they have especially on the defensive side, they have an amazing coaching staff. Coach Akina, Coach Nansen, Coach Kafusi. They were all doing some great things. What we were looking for was more personal development with him, an actual plan of, here's how we're going to attack it this first year. Here are the things that we're going to be working on. Here are your strengths and weaknesses. Here's some feedback that'll come from, each practice, each scrimmage, that kind of written feedback that he could go back and work on his own, to try to get better. And that wasn't necessarily their approach.
Oh yeah, that's tough there. Yeah, when if you're sitting there in limbo and nobody has a plan for you, it's like, well, what are we doing here? Yeah, that's definitely makes a decision process a little bit different. It makes you have to rethink and sometimes renegotiate your plan of attack.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know up here they don't mess around. They Oregon will tell you what they want, what they need, what they expect from you, and like Lanning's always said since he's got here, just come in and be ready. Come in, be ready, focused, and ready to, eye of the tiger, basically. And that's what you're getting out of this coaching staff, 100%.
Yeah.
So Oregon came with it like a full plan of like, this is where we want to better you as an athlete, but not just an athlete, a student athlete, basically. Like they came with a whole trajectory plan of point A, point B, whereas Arizona seemed to not really have the layout that laid out.
Well, so let me just backtrack.
Correct that.
It's not that they didn't have a plan. Their way of communicating that plan didn't work for what we were trying to do.
It's just like if you think about people just have different, learning and teaching styles.
Right.
I mean, it really boils down to, we believe that Oregon's way of developing is more conducive for what our goals are, and they've put out some dogs in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Elijah's ultimate goal, Cruz's ultimate goal is to make it to the NFL. So it really was, it really wasn't emotional in that regard. It really quite literally was like a mathematical equation. It was like, this is what we're trying to do. This is going to be the best type of fit. This kind of doesn't so much fit, so we're going to have to make a change. Yeah. There was really not anything nefarious, nothing emotional about it in that regard. I mean, it was emotional because it was difficult for us. We wanted to cheer on our hometown team and our sons together. But ultimately, his development and his future and his goal was more important.
Yeah. And their interactions were never fluff. It was never like Coach LaPoy is really intense. Coach Lanning is just as intense. And it was always, hey, here's what you're doing well, but here are the things you need to clean up.
Exactly.
And here's what's going to take you to the next level. And it really gave him some targets to go back and really do some self-reflection and say, hey, if I want to be better, here are the things I need to do.
That's communication. Yeah. Communication is always the key. We get strong communication can clean up and take care of lots of things and make both sides much happier.
Yeah, and that's why I asked, because these are a lot of talks behind the scenes. A lot of like the average fan or whatever doesn't ever get to have or hear, because a lot of it's we don't really know. It just, this is how it went, and so
Right.
it's just kind of nice to hear that kind of backstory. Not necessarily in detail, but just kind of hear like, this is what was going well for this program, or why we chose this way, or why it went this way. It's kind of nice to hear that. And exactly like you said, Lupoy is definitely a fiery guy. I have seen him on the sideline. That man, when things are not going well, that man
Ben
will
was
let
at
you
the
know.
Texas Tech game this year in Lubbock, and he was right behind the
Yeah,
bench.
when
We
they
have
were
15
losing, he was tearing into that defensive bench, absolutely on fire.
We have a
So,
group chat, and Ben's telling us during, oh my God, he's like, Lapoy's just reaming these guys, and I'm 10 rows behind the players, and I can hear him yelling, oh my God.
Yeah. His intensity is, I don't want to say just invigorating, but it's refreshing in the sense that he's not just yelling. He's making the on field correction. Hey, we've gone over this 16,000 times. Why aren't we here where we work to, these are the things that we've worked on, and, there's a reason that, we worked on it this way. I want to see it that way. And, again, I'm an old school kind of guy where this whole new way of massaging everybody and talking to them nicely,
He's
I
old
don't know.
school,
It's
guys.
just not. It's
He's
just
old
not
school.
football.
Okay.
well, that's what I was about to say before you said old school. I was like, I think when I look at Landing and Lupoy, especially, they're kind of a mix of the new, but still the old school, where they will get in your face, scream at you, but do it in a do your job. This is what we train to do it right, like mentality. But they will scream at you to get your attention. They won't be like, come on, guys, you can do better
Right.
than this. Like, they won't do that. They're intense. I mean, both of them are very intense people.
And from our vantage point, it doesn't seem, hey, I'm doing this to demoralize you. It's, hey, let's get a wake up call here.
Yeah.
Let's get back on track.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where do you guys see our future as far as like the next year and whatnot, and going into the Big Ten? Are you guys excited for that? Are you guys going to be traveling to a lot of the games, or?
Oh yeah, we're going to be traveling for sure. We're going to be hitting the road this year. We're super excited. I mean, gosh, we have just a stacked team. Like, our team is I'm so excited. I just think, this coaching staff is so unique, because I feel like not only do they have the expertise in their areas, in their position areas, but, and I'm not trying to sound like a cliche, but when you really talk about leaders of men, we've broken bread with these guys. We've sat in rooms with these guys. We spent a lot of time with these guys, and they are totally holistic in their approach. Totally holistic. They're experts in what they do, and they really care about their players. They care about their players. My son Cruz today, we're on the phone, and he's like, I got to go. Coach Lupoy is calling. And, the coach is coming just to check in on the kids. They know my kids have never been in snow before. Just want to check in and see, are you alive? Are you okay?
That's cool.
What DC does that? I don't, and I said, gosh, we keep getting more and more confirmation that these two guys are in the right place.
And when you see the kids around the coaches, they enjoy being around the coaches.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That personal touch means something for a kid that's miles away from home.
Yeah, exactly.
And how did you guys feel when you first, like, specifically, especially you two, not just for like Elijah or whatever, how did you guys feel when you first stepped foot, you went to Eugene, and you've seen the campus, right? So how did you guys feel about the campus as a whole?
It reminds me of and again, I hope this is not offensive. We have a sleepy little town called Flagstaff.
Sleepy.
Been there.
Flagstaff. Yeah.
Flagstaff.
Flagstaff is
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's eclectic. It's like
Yeah.
kind of nostalgic, and older time, and everybody seems happy.
Everyone's
and
so nice.
Excited. People seem happy to be there.
Yeah.
And so it's always been warm every time we came, and people have always been welcoming. So for us, it's been a great experience.
It's been wonderful. The community is totally wonderful.
It's definitely not Portland.
Has that.
It's definitely not Portland. No. Did you make him watch Animal House?
No. Animal House was filmed in Eugene?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
On the University of
I've
Oregon.
seen Animal House. Yeah,
Yep.
I know.
You know that?
Yeah, it's filmed on campus.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch that. That's happening this weekend.
I've been in a couple of the old frat houses where it was filmed, where pieces were filmed before. It's pretty nostalgic.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's cool.
Some of those frat houses, I swear to God, they were built in the 1800s.
Yeah.
They still look
Yeah.
that old.
Well, that's why like the duck will wear the toga once in a while, kind of as a throwback.
To Animal House.
Oh.
Yeah.
Toga once in a
I
while.
had no idea. That's so funny.
Yeah, every now and then you'll catch the duck in a toga down on the sidelines. Sometimes for the fourth quarter lead in that we do every year.
So
Have you guys been to a game yet?
Yes. Well, I've gone to a game, the Washington game.
Yeah, no, I
last
haven't.
year.
I went to the bowl game, the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's pretty fun.
In your backyard, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've never been to Autzen when it's like full.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to the Ohio State game this next year. That's
Oh man.
that's the game I want to be there at.
Heck yeah.
Which is kind of nice because it makes up for the 2020 year where everything got canceled. So it's kind of like even though it's the Big Ten year, it's like the makeup for that year. So yeah, it's kind of nice. Oh, we still have to get in the Big Ten schedule later. Oh, still hasn't hit me. This the Big Ten now because what do you guys have any? Do you guys have as Arizona being the local school? Do you guys have any sort of, not because of recruiting or recruitment of Oregon or Arizona, but in the sense of the conference of Arizona, or do you guys have any feeling about like the end of the Pac-12 as I mean, as we know, it's over football wise. So it's such a change. It's a dramatic landscape transition.
It's such a travesty because the Pac-12 really took off this year. It really became a formidable conference. Ready, like you can tell just how well they did against everyone else throughout, the country. But the Big Ten is going to be exciting. I have my older son, George, played at Wisconsin, and you're talking about old school smash mouth football and cold and wet, and like that's old school
Corn-fed boys.
Yeah, we're here, all the big boys up front.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you play football?
Yes, I played at University of Florida.
Oh, you're a Florida alum. Oh wow.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those? How do you feel?
First recruiting class.
I was about to say, how do you feel about those Gators?
We're on a down slope. I think Coach Napier is working hard. But you're talking about several years of being down and trying to build a culture and turn things around can be kind of hard.
See, that's my take. I deal with a bunch of Gator fans. They're always like, fire Napier. I'm like, man, it's not like Florida was a 10-11 win team just before he took over. He's changing the entire system and process and staff, and it takes a few years, but it's just you have to be patient to do that if you want to do it the right way.
Well, you think about the job, Coach Lanning did here, right? You don't realize how many layers there are to doing well in a conference like this or in the SEC. Think about you were building a culture and becoming better while everybody is becoming better around you.
Right.
And you're talking about the caliber of athletes that you got to work through, and there are a lot of layers to having a great season. And when you can when you can build a culture and win games at the same time, it's a formidable task.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I know with Spaz and us on here, before the season started, this season, the second season of the staff, like Lupoy, Lanning especially, we were like, look, great season last year. Didn't go exactly how we planned or hoped necessarily, especially at the end. But if the defense doesn't get better, then maybe you put pressure on Lupoy. But we saw a turnaround, and we're like, hey, by all means, everything that's been going on right now is we are fine. We've seen the transition that we needed to see and couldn't be happier. There is a comment in here. I don't know if this is true, so I needed to talk and ask Spaz, and he's like, I'm not sure. Is it true that is there a chance that apparently your daughter is going to come to Oregon to run track? I know that, and apparently we're already recruiting 0 at wide receiver. This was a comment I had to check because I was like, is this true,
man.
or?
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I interact with a lot of Duck fans on Twitter, and I've just posted some pictures recently because I've been posting. I posted a picture of the boys, and 0 always makes a cameo appearance whenever we have visits. So he's become a little bit today. He's become a little bit of a mainstay there. But I thought, you know what? I never post a pic of my little girl. She's she runs. She's a hurdler. Star, yeah. And we were at Hayward in July for the USATF Junior Olympic Finals.
Yeah, she took the silver
in the 80-meter hurdles. So I posted that,
Nice.
Yeah. So
Ducks line her up, Hayward.
Yeah, you've got the whole rushing family to answer your question.
Trucktown, USA. Bring it.
Exactly. Now all I need to get is jerseys for the dogs. That's it. I've seen some jerseys for the dogs with the pet pics. So I've got some ideas.
Right on.
Well, we can have the whole Herbert family, the whole Rushing family. We'll just take everyone. We'll take them all.
Yeah, awesome.
Were you at Florida pre-Urban Meyer?
Oh yeah, long before Urban Meyer.
Okay.
Yeah, Spurrier. You said.
I played in 1990 to 93.
Okay, that would have been Spurrier, right?
Yeah.
Spurrier's first recruiting class there. Yep.
Nice. So were you were recruited then by Spurrier?
I was.
How was that under Spurrier back then? Because the man is a legend for just his antics and his kind of quirkiness sometimes. I love Steve Spurrier, the old ball coach, no matter what people say.
Oh yeah.
Listen, you've never played for a guy that was as intense and as fair as Coach Spurrier is.
Fairness.
He didn't care about senior, freshman, how long you've been in the program, who you know. Best man hits the field. Yeah. Every practice is graded. Whoever does the best throughout that week will get the nod. And as a player, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah. And there was no pretense to it. You already knew what to expect. You never had a wonder, well, does my coach like me or does this? None of that comes into play. Strictly objective. Does your metrics warrant you being there? Mm-hmm. And that's it. I really enjoyed it.
That's all you can ask for. That's the best thing you can get out of a coach is that right there. Yep. Earn it.
Well, that's how I feel, and that's something maybe that's that kind of clicked with you too with Lanning. That seems to be his mentality. It's like, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
If you are putting in the work and you are good enough to be on the field, no matter what, you're going to play.
Right. And that's how you win games.
Yep.
That's how you become great. That's what Coach Spurrier did. You see, he had walk-ons that end up being all SEC.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like this year we had Betcher. He's a walk-on from the baseball team, and he played a really amazing role in multiple games. And even the spring game, I know last year we were talking about, we're like, who is that? And we're like, oh, that's the baseball guy. We're like, wow, he can play linebacker. Who knew? I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah, he was big in that Texas Tech game.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I like about this system seems to work so well. We had one of the receivers last year. We're like, well, where's he been all year? Obviously, he must have been getting outplayed because during the week, because he just didn't he wasn't playing. And obviously he ended up going in the portal and going to another school because for some reason or another, it wasn't working here.
You know, the reality with football is everything is about fit. And can I beat out the guy in front of me?
Yeah.
And the reality is that when you're competing against some of the top athletes, you're not going to beat everybody.
Right.
And can you accept your role if you're not the number one guy?
and that's what we said this offseason too, is even any of the people that transferred out of the team, like Ty Thompson, for instance, he was a loyal guy. He'd been there. We always loved Ty Thompson. We always, it's Ty time when he'd come in as a backup, but he wasn't going to play. He'd been under two staffs, and he needed to go find his opportunity. And you can never blame a guy for going, especially him. He was there for, multiple years. And it's like, you got to go find your opportunity somewhere if you don't feel like you're going to play. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the system also we live in, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
what's your take on all the different coaching changes and stuff that are happening lately?
I think it's the nature of the beast. When you think about the college landscape, given the portal, given everything that's going on, I think that everybody's in win now mode. And everybody is in that, hey, I got to get on to my next opportunity or I may miss it. And so you got some coaches who take opportunities just to use it as a stepping stone to get to the next. And you got some coaches who are all in and really want to create something that, they can build a legacy behind. And so you got to figure out what that is. And do you have that kind of coach? And it's hit or miss. You may think you have it or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw over the last week we saw a couple of the coaches get turn not just Dan, but also the Josh what's the guy? I want to say Leopold, but that's not right. I don't.
Oh yeah, no, the one in Kansas.
Yeah, the one
Leipold.
Yeah, where they decided to stay and continue to build what they are working on, and then you have the others that have jumped for that, whether it be stepping stone or whether it be, that big opportunity or that next shot that you may not get down the road. We were saying it earlier this year because we were like, well, the two jobs that we said that if they ever came up that we'd be worried about Lanning leaving for were Georgia and Alabama, obviously for obvious reasons.
Right.
We figured, if it was in the next 3 to 5 years, we were like, it probably won't happen. But if it's 5 to 10 years down the road and one of those opportunities come up, then maybe you could see a coach like Lanning going to that, that special opportunity or whatnot. and we saw that, and that's something that we haven't had in years past here at Oregon. It's always been, if that job came up, that coach was gone. Cristobal to Miami.
So we asked him about that prior to coming, because at some point we knew Nick was going to step away, and the very answer he gave the public was the very answer he gave us.
His message has always been
Right,
consistent.
his messaging has been consistent.
That's something we said multiple times, is like, he has been flat out, not the non-denial, like just gray area, like, I'm not worried about that, I'm focused on the next game. He's like, look, I'm not going anywhere. But when knowing that, and there's been some rumors like, no, he was never actually offered the job, but him saying like, hey, I'm not going anywhere, I'm right here, I'm not done yet, we're not going. Does that make you even more confident with the decision that's been made? Because that just proved it even more, that he's not like say it to your face and then turn his back on you, stab you in the back kind of guy.
Well, if we would have not decommitted and we would have stayed at Arizona, we would be in a different situation than we're in now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Fish would leave Arizona. Actually, I thought he was in a very good spot.
Nobody did. Yeah, I didn't think so, because the team is on the rise. I mean, his back is hurting, so you have to forgive him.
Oh, you're good.
That's fine.
That's perfectly fine.
The team's on the rise, and they're doing just amazing things. There's just so much energy, and it's just like the wind kind of came out of the sails for a second. I think Arizona's going to be great. That they have a new coach, the new hire. He's principled man. He just seems like he's going to be a great fit. Yeah, and the players are absolutely amazing. The culture in Arizona really rests with the players really cultivate the culture. They're awesome young men, and I just think even though the situation was unfortunate the way it went down, Arizona's resilient. The players are awesome. The coaching staff that's there is great. They're going to be good. They're going to be good.
Yeah, and most of their
the coaches did a great job.
Everything I've seen too is most of their players seem to be staying, unlike all these other schools are losing their top players. Washington's guys are jumping left and right. Bama guys are jumping left and right. But the Arizona guys we just had about an hour ago, somebody said they're about 99% locked in that the Fafita and T-Mac aren't going anywhere. So
that's amazing. I'm surprised. I was surprised Fafita is staying. Actually, I'm kind of surprised about that. But Fish was a good guy. I like what Fish was doing. He's been building that program step by step in his own way, and he's been doing a phenomenal job. I mean, so
he's definitely going to be behind the 8 ball recruiting wise up at Washington now.
I guess real quick fun question then. What game are you most looking forward to going to this next season? Oregon versus who? Whether on the road or at Autzen.
At Autzen, November 30th, Oregon versus Washington.
Oh.
I'm ready. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's going to be a wild one.
I'm excited for that. I mean, we're going up to the spring game. That's the next time that we'll be up, and I'm excited for that. But November 30th, I got my calendar marked. I got my time off of work. I'm ready to go.
Already planned well in advance.
Already planned. Yeah, I'm super excited.
Derek's not here, but I know Derek's is, I think it's Oregon at Wisconsin, right, Spaz?
Yeah, he wants to go to Camp Randall. He's from Wisconsin, so
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he's like, I got to go see the Ducks in Camp Randall.
That's super cool.
This schedule is killing me, though. I can't remember it still. It's so different.
It is. But I'm excited for the Ohio State game and the Washington. Those are the two games that I'm going to attempt to make it up to this next year for sure. Ohio State, I've always had a hatred for Ohio State. I don't know why, but I think it boils down to 2014, I believe it was. Is that right, Ben?
Well, that and probably 2009, probably.
Yeah, I think the loss in 14 was worse, just because it was in the title game.
And don't worry, Mark. I see your comment here, where we can ask, but and maybe you can answer this too. There, it's specifically, but it says, as a former player, what few questions do you want a team to answer when recruiting your kids? I mean, this could be just parents in general too. It's not just necessarily as a former player, but
I think the question that we really asked and what we really paid the most attention to had to do in the arena of development, and learning, as George explained, when he was playing under Spurrier, they received lots of feedback. Their practices were graded. They were given feedback on what they needed to work on. That was kind of what we were looking for, just trying to find out, what does your development look like? What do your metrics look like? How are you developing these guys to get them ready to continue progressing in their football career? Where do they fit within your system? That's a question I remember my husband always asking. Where do you see Elijah fitting within your system? So for us, it was more. For us, it was really more about. I feel like more. Not so much like, here's our campus and these are our programs and these are our uniforms and this. That wasn't it. It was more like down to the nuts and bolts. That's really what was most important to us. And then the culture, how do the coaches seem? Do the players seem to be close to each other? And, with the coaches, and Oregon checks all the boxes. I mean, I cannot say enough positive stuff about our experience with this coaching staff. These are amazing people. The recruiting staff, everybody. We've just had such an amazing experience. We are so grateful for this opportunity.
What are your guys' beliefs for what they're going to be doing with Cruz this year? Is he just developing this year more than anything, kind of learning the system and seeing what plays out?
To be honest, that's more a question for my husband. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sorry. I don't want to just speak because I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's fine, because one of my questions was, what is the expectation maybe for Elijah this year too? Is does he expect to play much? Is he going to try? Maybe they're going to redshirt. We never know how this is going to work. Maybe he just ends up being redshirted because okay, there's the other guys that just pop out in front of him while he's developing. You never know these things exactly, and I'm sure they probably never promised you're going to start immediately. I'm sure they never did that. I'm sure. But.
No, never. And for us, I mean, you heard my husband. We're not the type of parents that think, the stars stay outside the door. It's kind of like, great, you earn those accolades, but Elijah's got a lot to prove. And he is not afraid of hard work. And don't bark at me. And I'm doing a podcast. I'm sorry. For the boys, they know that they've got a lot of work to do. And if Elijah gets playing time, it's because he earned it. And that's it. Playing time is earned, period. And that's the way that we've always, taught the boys and raised the boys. George coached Elijah. And I could never see anybody being harder on Elijah than his dad. So these guys, my boys are not. Yeah, they're raised old school, so they're definitely looking to work hard.
Well, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. That speaks maturity too. To go hey, I'm going from this level to this level now. Plus, it's just like if you change a job, you start a job. Guess what? Now everyone's new around you. You have to earn your way into those positions. So if they can go into that mindset, like, hey, I just got to work and I will earn what I deserve. That's the mindset you have. You don't go in like, I'm the star. I'm the star, like that. I mean, you can have a positive attitude. How does it, I guess, a cocky attitude a little bit and be like, hey, I'm good. But then be able to also go, I got to learn. I got to train. I have to work on these things and be humbled a little bit. And so that takes maturity, because a lot of high schoolers, I think you've seen them and you've met some that probably don't have that.
Well, you got to be able to back it up. I mean, whenever he's in like a sort of a Trench Kings, like one-on-ones, whenever he comes on and he's got to compete for a showcase or at a camp, he's got 5 stars behind his name. He's always going to be sized up, tested. He has to prove himself everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes, he knows this is not, you're not just some prima donna with a trophy. You have to prove it. You got to come out here. You got to work. You got to show these guys, why you're rated the way you are. You're always going to have to prove yourself. And so that's what Elijah's accustomed to doing, and Cruz too.
Does that put more pressure on them in your mind? Or maybe they've talked to you like to say, like they see their rating, because I mean, everyone does. Some people try to ignore it. They know. Does that put more pressure on them as a player in a good or bad way sometimes? I mean, it's kind of interesting how people interpret it, especially applying to themselves, to go, I'm a 5-star instead of a 4-star, or I'm a 4-star instead of a 5-star. Does that impact them, or?
Only in the sense that it comes with a lot of responsibility. So I think like Cruz is a 3-star. They bear responsibility. They bear it's like a deeper burden to continue to perform at the level that you're rated or better. It's almost like you don't get to take breaks or time off. It's like you always have something to prove. But that's a place, and that's an environment, that's a zone that they're always in. So it's not like foreign to them, It's something that it's kind of like that's their normal. So for them to sit back and just kind of be like, hey, me, I'm a 5-star, that's something they're not familiar with. They're more familiar with, you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to work. We got to scrap. We got to prove. He's always got something to prove. He's always got to work hard. And that's just his normal.
That's the mentality, I think, again, just like going to any level or different job or anything, you have to have that mentality of like, hey, I got to put my time in, I got to work, I got to prove myself to people no matter what it is. Is there, outside of the coaching staff for you guys, but especially like for Elijah, is there anyone like on the team that he talked to who is like an influencer, or maybe he looks up to, is going, I want to learn from that individual on the team currently?
Well, he has, and I can't think of like some specific names. I haven't really gotten to know the guys very well or acquainted with their names very well, but he's really happy with the room. And he just talks about, and he's talked about since his early recruitment with Oregon, how the guys really support one another. And they're all about business. They're all workhorses. Honestly, I feel like this OLB room, the edges, the D-line, these guys are workers. And Elijah feels right at home. Like he always talks so positively about the other players. And he's super excited to learn. And he's like a student of the game. Elijah's really cerebral. So learning everything that he's got to learn about, the scheme and all that, that's something that that's one of the things that he enjoys the most about playing football.
Yeah, I noticed they promoted Chris Hampton to DB's coach. So
I just saw that.
Yeah, which again, that made sense. That's why we were like, Lanning already has someone in the wing, and that he was already co-DC, so just make him a secondary coach too. I mean, give him the title, because apparently he did cornerback coaching before.
Yeah.
Also, so I mean, why not?
Guys, I gotta probably go. I gotta get my kiddos fed and.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
No, thank you for inviting me. I literally was like, oh my God, I'm going to be on a podcast. Like, I've never done this before.
You did great. You did great, man. It was a wonder having you guys on here.
Both of you, both of you. Anytime you want to come on here and talk about your feelings of the team during the off season, during the season, a specific game, whatever, we have all the time in the world. If you guys want to come back on and talk anything Oregon.
Oh, you guys are awesome. You guys are super nice. Well, thanks. Hopefully I'll be connecting with you guys on Twitter in the meantime.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm there daily.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So we appreciate you
very much. You guys have a great evening and go Ducks.
Go Ducks. Thank you. We'll see you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, that was awesome, Spaz. Way to go. Way to go. That was the Rushing family right there of Elijah Rushing, Cruz Rushing, and yeah.
Soon to be Zero possibly too.
Maybe, yeah.
Wide receiver room down the road.
Maybe, yeah. Hey, again, I didn't even I forgot. I said, hey, we already had the Herberts, we've had the Sewells. Let's just get the whole Rushing family too. Why not? All legacies.
Yeah, maybe later on in the off season or whatnot, during springtime or whatnot, maybe maybe we might be able to get either Caleb or Cruz or Elijah on a show later this year during the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime they want to come back on and talk, it's like anytime. I don't even know if I want to dive into it tonight. Like, I may just retitle the show. I don't even know if we want to go into the Big Ten conversation that much tonight. That kind of was like that was like its own show.
Yeah, that was perfect. It was nice to get a little insight, on the recruiting side, and he, like you said, we didn't go into it on camera or whatnot, but there was, there was some frustration in some of the way things kind of went down, and that's how we ended up here. Grateful for Arizona and mucking the waters up enough that we were able to get back in there and get some talented kids to Oregon to join our crew.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and like they summed it up. They're like, if they didn't make the decision, Elijah, but with their guidance, but Elijah making the ultimate decision, if he had not left Arizona to go to Oregon, he'd be in the same situation now going, crap, potentially with fish jumping. So I guess that's where we can go is obviously, what are your thoughts? You weren't on the Sunday show. What are your thoughts? Because everyone knew Nick Saban was going to retire at some point. I think it just came kind of as a surprise that all of a sudden it was this year. I thought he was going to try to get one more national title, then call it, like go out fully. What are your thoughts kind of with him, bowing out? I mean, I'd say gracefully, he's just like, look, I'm done,
Yeah. And I think the big thing was, definitely this year was, towards the beginning of the year, I had stated that there was I believe it was an ESPN interview that somebody did with Nick's daughter. And she had stated that this could possibly be her dad's last year. She had a strong feeling that this was going to be his last year. And everybody kind of dismissed that. They're like, yeah, it's Nick Saban. He ain't never going to retire. And when I saw that at the beginning of the year, I was like, there might be something to that. And I felt once he reached that, title game, it was like, if he wins it, he goes out as Mount Rushmore. If he doesn't, he still goes out on top of Mount Rushmore just because of the fact he made it back to another title game that nobody expected. And, it's a win-win for him. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, regardless, he went out as off the top of my head, I don't have my chart open, like 209 and 27, 11 SEC titles,
26 losses in like 14 years.
11 SEC titles and 7 national titles overall, and never a losing season as a college football coach. I mean, what more can you ask of someone?
7 national titles in 15 years. Yeah.
What else could you ask of a man?
Yeah. Well, what else is there left to do at that point?
All he has to do is like this. I'm almost running out of fingers for my natties. That's all he has to do. But you, Spaz, Mr. Drama Queen, were throwing yourself off a building last week.
Oh yeah, it was.
I had to pull you back off the ledge.
It was a wild. I believe it was Tuesday of last week. I believe it was
something like that.
Yeah, it was. That was a wild night. I was in the spaces that made ESPN Sports Center. I'll never forget that. It was just so weird because we weren't sure what was going on. We were hearing all these conflicting reports that Lanning was in Tuscaloosa and it was all but a done deal. And we were like, yep, we're done again. We got cooked again. So our heads were kind of down for a minute. And then in a matter of like 15 minutes, we had Roma Dunze come in and say we needed to chill out or he was going to come back and torch us for another year. And then he left. And it was
what a troll.
And then we're just like, what just happened? And then like 10 minutes later, we had the kicker kid came in and jumped in and he told us, guys, it's all good. We just got out of a meeting with all the coaches and we were all just hanging out and everything's good. We're nobody's going nowhere. And that was like the huge sigh of relief. The whole Twitter space just kind of went. We had a player come in and tell us that we're good. Nobody's going anywhere. We've been with the coaches. And then we had another guy on our space that had Dylan Gabriel and his girlfriend were tweeting out pictures on their Instagram of them with at the Lanning family's house having dinner, getting ready to watch a movie. So then we really knew, ain't nobody going nowhere. Lanning's in Eugene. We just got a picture from their living room of them getting ready to have dinner. We were like, yeah, okay, we're good.
That's why the next day he was like, everyone was like, you're in Tuscaloosa. And he's like, the hell are you talking about?
I'm trying to watch the Jason Bourne movie. And my son's saying, Dad, your phone says you're in Tuscaloosa. Pay attention to the movie.
That's why I was like, calm down, everyone. Let's wait till tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild 12-hour ride there for a minute.
It turned into a wilder ride for Washington fans. And, well, now Arizona.
And now Arizona fans and Washington fans are going to be the ones that are worse because I mean, my mind is telling me that when Fish jumped, I think he was very comfortable and felt very good that he was going to be able to bring Fafita and T-Mac with him. And that backfired. Doesn't look like that's going to happen.
That was my thought. I thought, oh, he's going to take Fafita with him. That was my thought, especially was at least Fafita. But if that's not the case, That's an interesting situation. And then does Washington still keep Will Rogers?
No, he already decommitted.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did. So yeah, now they're really
They're down to a walk-on like 3-star. That's all they have in their QB room right now.
well, I guess Fafita technically was only a 3-star probably too. So you never know what Judd can do with him. I mean,
But yeah, I mean, they have one quarterback in their room right now. One.
yeah, it's gonna be a rough year for Washington. I think next year, that first year, it's gonna be pretty rough.
70-10.
Jesus. Well, we're gonna find out next year. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think it could be a definitely very, very trying year for Arizona or for Washington next year. And I don't think Arizona falls that bad, really. If they keep most of their guys I've only seen a couple that have jumped into the portal so far.
Yeah, if they're keeping the core of their team on both sides, they'll probably be okay. They should actually probably be okay.
But
as long as the scheme doesn't get completely screwed up or something like that, you know.
Yeah, but Washington's first year in the big may not be very pretty. They might win 5 games, 4 games next year. Because they got a lot of pieces. Somebody put it up yesterday. They have one returner on their offense now. One.
Ooh. Damn.
Yeah.
That's like unheard of. To only have one starting returner.
Out of the 15 starting spots returning on their offense.
Damn. That's unheard of. You know, normally you hear like, 6, 7, okay, up to like 10 or whatever, but it's like 1. Damn.
I don't know, Hummus. I don't think so. Unless they get a couple of receivers and a quarterback that can come in and start flinging off the gate, I don't see them winning much more than 4 or 5 games. They might go 6-6, but they're in a tough predicament right now.
It's not an easy spot. It definitely doesn't look pretty, and the Washington fans are very aware of that. They are all very well aware of that. I have watched many of their podcasts.
They're delusional as hell. Go on their spaces. They're so delusional.
It's like I have watched many of theirs, and they're like, "How did we go from this to this?" It's like, yeah, it's not pretty, and especially when they again. I always love again. I told you guys in their text. I was like, even a Bama fan was like texting me, going, "Oh, I wonder who Oregon's next coach will be." And then the next day, I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What were you asking?" Sorry, I didn't hear you.
You know what's even worse? I'll tell you what's even worse than that. Your friend and mine and his band of traveling misfits in Miami. Those guys are delusional. I mean, they were partying. They were having parties and dancing in the streets over Cam Ward. We're going to go 12-0. We're going to win the Natty. Mario's going to take us to the promised land. And I was just like going,
Cam should have gone pro. He'd been better off. But obviously Miami paid him, you know. But I think he would have been better off in the long run going pro.
I think he should have at least gone to if he would have went, and yeah, I get he probably got a low grade from what I hear. But if he would have at least went to the combine and just balled out, pulled a Herbert, and he, he might have been able to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he would have gone undrafted. He probably would have been like fourth.
Yeah, they were talking
fourth to fifth.
The rumors I heard were that he was being told mid to late second day, possibly early third day pickup.
Okay, somewhere in there, but you never know. You could slip very quickly depending on team needs and et cetera, et cetera. But combine could do a lot for you. But if you've noticed, Miami has lost every quarterback they've had since Cristobal has been there, basically. So
yeah, they've
all sucked. Well. They've all sucked, which shocking under Cristobal. I mean, shocking.
We know very well.
Yeah. This is not a we hate Miami or I hate Cristobal. This is just facts. This is all we're just saying observations
Herbert,
we saw week in, week out.
His senior year, he probably would have been the second quarterback taken, not the fourth.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Cam. I mean, I would like to say that hey, Mario will be like, hey, let him loose, do what he wants, but that's just not how Mario works. Mario doesn't work that way.
No, it's going to stack the line and run the running back up the middle.
And not take knees. I am going to take a quick second here. And but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Spaz run his mouth for a second because in our special segment here, breaking news from Spaz. As he eats on camera for all of your enjoyment, too.
Every Tuesday. Sorry, guys.
Oh, my God. All right. I'll literally be like 30 seconds.
Breaking news is I got new dinner again. No. Yeah, basically, guys, not much new other than the fact that Oregon just keeps on chugging along in that portal, man. We keep getting new new recruits. It seems like every other day we're getting somebody else from the portal or something to that degree. Just love the fact. Oh, I got a new post here. What's this one? Oh, yep. Des Ricks has committed to Texas A&M. Well, we weren't shocked by that, but yeah. Oh, Duck Zone podcast has Dewan Riggs, our running back we signed as a true star freshman. Nice picture of Dan Lanning and Kirby today. I don't know if it was taken today. Apparently, it's at a University of Georgia wrestling, college wrestling shit. So we'll see.
The what? The hell are you talking about?
This picture of Lanning and
No.
Kirby.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I just heard Georgia wrestling. I'm like, what? Yeah,
this guy is he? Like I'm gonna believe you, 150 follower man. Oh, breaking news!
You believe anyone?
Muhammad is in Tuscaloosa tonight.
You believe anyone, you drama queen.
Yeah, we all know that's probably not fact.
Don't ever listen to Spaz if he starts freaking out about something and tell him to calm down. Well, that was fun though. That was fun having the Russian family there, and hopefully, yeah, they'll come back definitely sometime during the off season or during the season especially, and give us a little more insight. But that was kind of nice to get kind of a insider view as to some of the recruiting process of what the families look at or, talk about, especially when dealing with the coaching staff. That's stuff you don't hear up front, a lot of times. So, a little behind the scenes information is kind of nice.
Texas just released their 4-star defensive lineman from his knee. I wonder what that means.
That's vague. Who knows? Could mean a bunch of things.
Harbaugh interviewed in Atlanta today. Didn't know that one.
Atlanta too. Everything goes down to Raiders and Chargers. It sounded like. I guess he's really testing the waters. I think we all know he's off to the NFL as soon as someone offers. He's off, which isn't surprising. I mean, that's not.
I mean, where else are you gonna go? What else are you gonna do? You've done what you
came to do. Yeah, I mean, it's not a dig at Michigan at all. It's he came, he did what he did. Now he's like, okay, I still have my eyes set on this, so now's the time to go and do it. So he's not getting younger. I mean, he's not old, but he's not getting younger either. So
yeah, Jed could have really rode these guys into the playoffs and made a serious run. Instead, he goes to Washington, where he says he's now coaching one of 12 to 14 teams that could make a serious run with only like 4 returning players.
I haven't. Helmuth just said he looked at Washington's schedule, a bunch of 50-50 games, and he could see anywhere from 9 to 3 to 4 and 8. Yeah, that's a wide variance. I haven't looked at Washington's schedule. I really only got to look at Oregon's because that's all I can focus on at one time. But I think tonight is this is about where we wrap it, because I think that segment was perfect. They stayed on that was a lot longer segment, honestly, than I thought it would be. So, which was great.
And those are the kind of segments that we want to get in the off season. Just little things like that are perfect.
Absolutely. Again, to the Rushing family, we appreciate any guest that comes on here. We always appreciate any of the time they give, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, if it's 30, 40 minutes like they did. It's like, hey, we appreciate it a lot here on this show. Just helps diversify. Plus, you get different insights and, like we said, background story, the recruiting stories, and information and stuff like that you just don't get to hear every day.
No, you don't. And it's why it's nice to sometimes hear it from a parent. That's got to be one of the most trying times for a parent, is dealing with stuff like that, especially like recruiting and whatnot, when schools and this and that are fighting over your kids. I want him, and
especially going from like the hometown school, so say with Arizona, to then decommitting, and then all of a sudden going to just changing it. So it's got to be a bunch
eyes closed, yeah.
But that was something they said that struck, and we didn't really touch it too much, but something they said, which I've noticed with a lot what Lanning says, like, hey, we're always on top of it. We always stay committed to it. We always interact and keep committed to those players no matter what. And that's what they said. They're like, no matter what, he was always there, keeping contact regardless. So I was like, okay, so that holds true.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And in cases like this, obviously that's the kind of thing that made a difference. It made a difference to the parents and the student.
Well, Derek did not make it because he's slacking. He's fired. Sean is fired. Spaz is close to getting fired. He kind of redeemed himself tonight a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Well, tonight's show kind of took a side turn just because, of course, we had to open up the line there for the special guests. So that means tonight's show, we will push the topic of till next week. which is great. Actually, that's fine with me. I'm perfectly fine with that. Then we can probably have Derek on here, so it'll be 3 of us talking about it.
Hummus here, I love it. University of Michigan headed for a cliff.
Hey, and it's not just Oregon fan. I mean, I'm the modest Oregon fan. I'm like the one who's like, yeah, okay, I'm a little like I'm positive, but I'm not like overly cocky. But when all the Big Ten fans are saying, fuck, Oregon's coming, that's a good thing. If they're all kind of worried a little bit, it's like, okay, good.
If Ryan Day loses to Oregon and Michigan again, bye.
Yeah, he'd be 0-2 against. I called it on Sunday. I was like, oh, you know who also he hasn't beat? Oregon. He's 0-1 against Oregon. Ohio State fans didn't like that. Ohio State fans didn't like that. So if he goes 0-2 against Oregon with different coaches, I'm sure they won't be happy. Just like we wouldn't be happy. I mean,
was Sean on Sunday night?
Yes. That was why I dug that up, because he was talking some nonsense or something.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, he was trying to subtly dig at Michigan, but not really. But no one was buying it.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike wasn't buying it.
Mike wasn't on, shockingly. But all right, guys. Then what we'll do is we will take this week's show. Originally, the plan for the 2024, schedule preview as we go into the Big Ten next year. The way too early look ahead, not necessarily predictions, just a look ahead as we orient ourselves with the new landscape that we have befallen, so to say, or has fallen on us. One, however you want to look at it. The football gods have chosen for us. And we will do that next week. But again, I do want to, thank you, Spaz, for getting in contact with the Rushing family. But thank to the Rushing family for being so generous with their time to come on to this nonsense that we call a football channel.
Yes.
And talk recruiting of their kids. Again, just unique insight that a lot of people we don't get to hear about. So that was really cool.
Yeah, hit that like button and share, subscribe. Tell your friends about us.
And that's a good segue. Then tell people where they can stalk you online, Spaz, if they so choose to.
Well, if they want to, they can stalk me right there. Look at that. I nailed it.
I was going to say, wow, first try.
At the Rocky Classic on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Yeah, I'm all over, especially on Twitter. You could find me in Twitter Spaces pretty much daily. So yeah, it's probably where you find me in the next hour or two. Then my shows start up till tomorrow, so I got one more night of TV boredom.
There you go. And that's it. I'm just Ben of Exploring with Ben and Sam right here on YouTube, or Exploring with Ben and Sam, or Exploring with Ben rather on Twitter. But you'll find that through the YouTube page. So just search Exploring with Ben and Sam, as well as on the Sunday night show, College Football After Dark, right here on the Voice of College Football, the main channel, with Spaz sometimes, and a bunch of the other hooligans who have nothing better to do with their lives than talk off-season football. As to that, yeah, next week, right here, we'll be back 9 p.m. Central Time for the Oregon Ducks live show, where next week we will get deep dive into with Derek the 2024, not just Big Ten schedule preview, but in general, the schedule preview for the Ducks, which obviously includes the Big Ten. So take it as you will. I mean, whatever. Get on my ass about it. Who cares? As of that, Spaz, do you have any last things to say?
No, I'm good. Again, thank you to the Rushing family for jumping on tonight with us. Much appreciated. Hope to get you guys on again later in the season as well. And maybe I'll get to meet him this year to tailgate. I plan on going to a few games this next season for sure.
Absolutely. Sounds like they're going to be traveling. They said they're ready to go. So maybe not as much travel as they had initially planned to do.
To hang out.
Yeah, maybe not as much travel as they initially had planned to do before the Big Ten thing, but who knows?
Now, from the sounds of it, Papa George is probably going to be at a few away games as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because he's a coach at heart, so I can see him hitting a few road games.
Absolutely. So, everyone, once again, thank you for joining in here. Please, if you haven't, consider hitting that subscribe button, but please at least hit that like button. It helps the show out a lot. Join us right here next Tuesday as we go into the 2024 schedule preview. And as for that, I guess all we have to say is
adieu.
Go Ducks. Quack, quack.
Quack.